objective is to eliminate U.S. dependence on China in critical areas for U.S. security. That necessarily means more, not less, U.S. trade with allies like Japan and South Korea, India and the Philippines, who can fill the void left by cutting the cord from China in areas like pharmaceutical supply chains and our own military-industrial base. To the National Liberty Wing, the top objectives of U.S. immigration policy are protecting U.S. national security, preserving U.S. national identity, and promoting U.S. economic growth in that order. That's different from the myopic neoliberal worldview that promoted economic growth even at the expense of national security and national identity. But it's also different from the national patronage camp, which promotes protecting the wages of American workers even at the expense of other important national objectives. The national patronage camp believes in reshaping and redirecting the regulatory state to advance policies that improve the plight of American workers and manufacturers. By contrast, the national liberty camp believes the only way to improve the plight of America, including our workers and manufacturers, isn't by reinventing the regulatory state, but by dismantling the regulatory state. This intellectual debate on trade, legal immigration, and especially the regulatory state will be the defining rift in the future of the conservative movement. The chasm is seismic, not slight. But for now, it lurks beneath the surface, against the backdrop of a looming presidential election. Regardless of which camp prevails, the movement will be stronger if we understand these rifts, rather than pretend they don't exist, and build on the common ground between the two. Introduction. Say what you will about the modern left, they're very good at articulating a coherent vision for humanity. They believe our relationships to one another are defined by power dynamics. Just as predators wield power over prey in the wild, oppressors wield power over the oppressed in civil society. The old left defined power based on wealth. The new left defines it based on race, gender, and sexuality. The role of government is to rectify these injustices from the state of nature. Whether this account of human relations is true is of less concern to them than whether it's a coherent narrative to motivate action. And they are exceptional at cultivating urgency to act. These power imbalances must be corrected before a fixed deadline, say the pending destruction of humanity due to global cooling in the 1970s, or the pending destruction of humanity due to global warming in the post-2000s, or the pending destruction of humanity due to COVID-19 in 2020. Staving off such catastrophes requires enlightened elites to work together across national boundaries for the greater global good. As conservatives, we know we're against that. We're anti-woke, we're anti-globalist, we're anti-big government. We know what we stand against. But what exactly do we stand for? The fact that this is a hard question to answer is a damning indictment of the modern Republican Party, which has abjectly failed to articulate an affirmative alternative to the left's vision. This represents an inexcusable dereliction of duty. Relentlessly criticizing the hypocrisies of the other side will only get us so far. Fighting against someone is different from fighting for your own cause. This is no longer a theoretical matter. Despite lofty expectations and self-congratulatory rhetoric, Republicans delivered abysmal results at the ballot box in 2018, 2020, 2022, and 2023. Various factions of the party blamed one-off things ranging from abortion to Donald Trump for these failures. But the real reason is far more basic. We lack a positive alternative to the left's vision for the future. The Republican message in 2022 was to rail against the radical Biden agenda, and it didn't work. The long-predicted red wave never came. As this book goes to print, I worry about a similar outcome in 2024, unless we muster the courage to define who we really are as conservatives. So what exactly do we stand for? This book